In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I built this cabinet that is not only a staircase, but also a bookshelf and has some storage in it. This cabinet is a part of a bigger series of me building a library loft in my living room. Previously in the series, I cut a hole in my ceiling to install a skylight that turns into a balcony. Because of my unique roof line, I had to install the skylight quite a ways up the ceiling, which prevented me from just walking up to enjoy the balcony fully. Solution is to build a staircase, but instead of wasting the space on the exposed front, I made that into shelving. Then, since it's such a large empty body, I threw drawers into the steps. What will I keep in such large drawers 9 feet in the air of my living room? I have no idea, but I'm sure they will become full and I'll be glad that I have them. So let's get into how I built this very odd cabinet. Note, I used my CNCs at my CNC shop to cut all of the parts for every cabinet in this entire space. What would typically take me a week, the machines can do in a day. So if you have a cabinet job, I recommend finding a local shop to you so that all you have to do is play Lincoln Logs and pop things together. Or if you happen to be local to me, then I could cut them for you. My process for every cabinet in this space was the same thing. I start with finishing, not the entire part, but anything that will be inside after it's assembled. If you remember to do this, it will save you from having to finish in a confined space. After spraying every single inside portion of the parts, then letting it dry, I move things to my workbench to start gluing and nailing together. Every part has dados or rabbets, so it's easy to throw together. I'm using DAP's interior glue on every joint and then an 18 gauge nailer. What I'm going to do here is locate this by using a combo square so that I know where to nail. All of this is just dadoed and rabbited together, and this is going to be the show face, so I'm using a glue brush in order to minimize how much glue is going to be on the face. Now, a really cool trick, you can see here, at the CNC, we only took off the core of the material of the plywood, but left the veneer. And the cool thing is, you'll see why that's cool in just a second, but it's going to cover up this top end grain. This is why it's cool, because look, that's going to pop together, and it's going to cover up this end grain, meaning that no edge banding or 45ing is required. You could do the same trick with a table saw or router if you're cutting your own cabinet parts. You'll just need to fine-tune the depth of the cut when you do your setup. However, if you don't want to fuss with it, you could also always edge band the end grain instead. Another trick to consider if you're cabinet building is to cut drawer faces out of the risers. This is not only a good use of material, but will keep the grain matching when the drawer closes. The CNCs did this cut for me, but to not get them mixed up, you can see they're just taped into place for now. And that is the staircase portion of this cabinet. Let's move on to the drawers.
So for these, instead of going with really expensive hardware, especially for the depth of these drawers, I decided to do wood on wood. And anything in my shop, I just do wood on wood slides. And so for this application, it's not only going to save a bunch of money, but also time. And it'll also give me a way to show you guys how to do wood on wood where they slide easily. So right now, I've just got all of the treads and risers. Now I'm going to start building what I'll call the shelves for the drawers themselves.
When doing wood on wood drawers, you need a wooden shelf for the drawer to slide on. In smaller builds, I just use a solid shelf such as my drill press stand here. Then the idea is the drawer box will sit on top and slide in and out. This is the cheapest, no frills way of doing it. However, with this body being so much larger, we cut out most of the center of each shelf just to reduce weight. Another option to consider is material. For small things in my shop, I use raw plywood, but since these are larger, I'm using pre-finished plywood plywood. This will create a slicker surface on the drawer to slide on. This is more expensive, so a third option is to buy raw, but then finish the surface that will be in contact with other wood. The front side is held in place by that dado. Then I added in verticals to the back side with glue and screws to support the weight. And also another solid piece with more dados. Then I built out the rest of the body. I'm using screws here because the slope will be up against the wall and not seen. There is a big gap here in material, again, to save on weight. Since it's gonna be up against the wall, it might as well be minimal. And that, my friends, is the weirdest cabinet I have ever built. I actually really like how bizarre it looks. But now let's make the face look beautiful. The face frame is really what makes a cabinet without a door look complete. Know that you can get custom here. You can go thinner or thicker, but the glass railing I'll be installing later is what dictated the thickness of my trim. It's also installed with some wood glue and then more 18 gauge nails. Now I do try and keep nailing to a minimum because every hole I create, I later have to fill and sand.
It is a bookcase. It is a staircase. It is storage. It also yeah, that's it. 3 things. I thought there was a 4th, but there's not. It is not firewood. I do want to walk up and down it. Ooh, ooh. What do you mean I won't do it? You don't know me.
I have stood and sat on tons of projects on this workbench over the years, but this is the first staircase I have climbed. They feel good, so let's move on.
Other than sanding, filling in the nail holes, and giving it a coat of finish, the building portion of this is done. Now it's going to be moving this big old heavy, insert word here, outside in order to get spray finished. Yeah. Okay. So now the process is going to be to put on 1 coat of finish in order to seal the grain. Since oak is so porous, if I were to go through and putty in the nail holes right now, it would also fill in the porous grain around it. So first is to seal everything, then come back through and putty it, and then put on 2 more coats of finish.
When applying finishes, I like to go with an HVLP sprayer. HVLP stands for high volume, low pressure, meaning the finish is propelled by a high volume of air, but at a low pressure. The result is fine, smooth spray with less overspray and material waste than you get from an airless sprayer. Though an airless applies coatings much faster than an HVLP. I have used some expensive professional HVLP rigs and was very happy with this Wagner Erlex machine, which comes in at about 1/3 the cost. It has some nice high-end features like the no-stick coating inside the paint cup and instant adjustments for the spray pattern and size. The 15-foot hose is also really nice. It lets me move around without having to stop to move the turbine unit. And my results when spraying furniture finishes were perfect. If you've been frustrated by wood finishing, give this rig a look. I'll leave a link in the description. Now for a finish, I chose to go with Vermont Natural Coatings Pure Matte Finish. And guys, this is a really interesting finish. The key ingredient is polyway, a byproduct of cheese making. Coatings get their durability from a chemical process called cross-linking, and the cross-linking provided by polyway is actually stronger than other finishes. So you get a tough finish plus safety and environmental benefits. I've lost count on how many big, heavy things I've built over the last 10 years to then just move into its final place. I think I secretly love building big heavy things. Let's see how we can get this one up to my house. First, Jacob and I used the assistance of my favorite wagon to get it to the back of his truck. The truck then did a ton of work to get it to my house. From there, I called in a friend, Devin, to help get it to the second story of the house.
Yeah. It's not light, folks. It's not light.
Here we took a pause to give me time to prep the loft and protect the floor. See, I already laid down the final floor and I want to protect it since I still have a ton of work to do up here and don't want it damaged. This stuff here is called ram board and can be used on any horizontal or vertical surface you want protecting during a project. The tape is designed specifically to hold the ram board down but not leave you that gooey adhesive behind whenever you peel it up. Then the cutter makes it easy and safe to cut the board to length. The final challenge of moving Big Heavy is to get it 9 feet in the air. We realized 3 people wasn't enough, so we recruited Amp, who is actually the videographer behind the camera, to jump in and give us a hand.
Ready?
Yep. 3, 2, 1. Yes.
Teamwork makes it all work, folks. This now gets me to a great height in order to use the balcony skylight.
High five to you guys too. Cool. That's amazing. So something complicated that I need to do is there's going to be a big piece of glass that's going to be custom made that's going to fit this slope, this measurement, and then also be cut around every single one of these stairs. And glass has an incredibly tight tolerance, so this has to be dead on. So I set the Bosch laser level here, in line with here, in line with here, in order to create a cross section up there to where now I can take my laser measurer to hit that cross section, lock in that measurement, 73.47. Now I'll be able to report this over to the railing company that's going to custom make this huge sheet of glass for the staircase. Now I am getting a ton of questions about how I model up spaces so accurately, and this little gadget here is the answer. It is the Bosch laser measurer, which has so many amazing functions built into it, but the one I'll focus on right now is its ability to sketch up my space's shape, then go around and use it to take exact measurements. For example, I'm going to be working on my open living room to show you. Here is my general floor plan. Now I can click this wall here, then when I hold the laser up, it measures the distance and then plugs it right in. I can repeat this on all my remaining walls. This now gives us precise dimensions to create a 3D model to work within, and that's just one amazing feature. If you're working inside of an existing space, I definitely recommend picking up one of these. Now I just need to build the drawers to complete this project. People love to get fancy with drawers. And while there's nothing wrong with it, just know that you can keep it as bare bones simple as glue and brad nails with butt joints and still have a strong, long-lasting drawer. This is almost the only method I've used over the last 10 years, and regardless of how heavy I've loaded them down, I haven't had a single one break. On these, I did upgrade to using pre-finished plywood to again make a slicker surface to slide easier. Since this is a staircase, I ordered recessed handles so my feet wouldn't always be hitting them. And truthfully, if I had ordered these ahead of time, I could have had the CNCs cut these recesses for me. But of course, anything a CNC can do, I can do. It just takes a bit longer. Since this cabinet is so custom, I'm skipping most of the install work. However, I do want to point out that I plan to have LED lighting in every cabinet, so I pre-ran that wiring before fully moving the cabinet into place. And that, folks, is this project complete. I'll go ahead and skip ahead in the series in order to show you the final product. Since this is at the edge of the loft, I can only reach about half of the items from the ladder that I'll eventually put in. However, I am just fine with this mostly being a display thing. It's way better than it just being a solid sheet of plywood. What do you guys think? Have you ever built a weirder cabinet? That is it for this one, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed following along. Stay tuned if you're interested in seeing more of my loft series. I'll see you there.